Okay. How's it going? Welcome to my podcast. My name is Dallas Lehman, and this is my podcast. How are you guys doing? I guess you can't answer that. Forget it. Anyways, moving on. I'm doing good. Christmas was this weekend, and had a good Christmas. We got together with the family. This was the first Christmas I ever had a job where I had to work over Christmas, and so it was a little bit. The timing wasn't opportune. I've been working at from 3 until 11:30, and so we had to do all our Christmas stuff early. On Christmas Day, that was fine, but Christmas Eve, doing Christmas Eve dinner, we had to start dinner at like noon, and so I think it actually worked out pretty good. I was talking with my wife about it a little bit, and the nice thing about it is that it's nice to get dinner out of the way. And the hard part is that if you want to party or if you like your holiday festival family meals to involve libations and eating to excess and all that kind of stuff. The nice thing about doing dinner early is that it saves you, it gives you that time to do a second dinner later or a second party later. So that's kind of nice. I guess we're doing people a favor. And yeah, I think, I think it's good to get stuff done and out of the way early. That's what I like to do. And that was one thing that was kind of nice about the job is that it sort of forced us to do that. And, working on Christmas it was a little bit hard. Obviously I got to spend Christmas morning with the kids and that was nice, but Christmas Eve, it was a little bit hard to kind of leave after dinner and go to work. And, but on the other hand, it was also kind of nice because, sort of got to leave the party before, it's like always leave them wanting more. Now the people wanted more of me, but, sometimes it's nice to end things before they end it a little bit early, save a little bit. It's like working out. You don't want to work out to exhaustion. You want to leave a rep in the tank. So maybe that's a good way of putting it is I was leaving a rep in the old party tank. Speaking of kids and work, and I don't mean to characterize them as kids, but I got this new job where I've been working with a lot of people and a lot of young people. And I was thinking about these young people. They all have their own language. They have their own way of speaking. Listen to me. I sound like my parents or people of I hesitate to say old people because now I'm fitting into this category. But speaking of which, it makes me think they got this thing now on the internet called Urban Dictionary or even just Google. Man, that thing is tremendously helpful because I can go and search the words that people are using. And, not only does it help me to save the words that I can remember it later because I got it right there on my phone, but it explains the word to me, gives me different examples. It's like, in the old days, it might have been like they'd use a word and you'd be like, what newfangled thing is it they're talking about? But nowadays, you can go and punch in glizzy and, because you might ask one of your friends and, some of these words, they sometimes have multiple definitions and, you might not catch the meaning and you might think, oh, it's a hot dog. Okay, that makes sense. But wait a minute. In the context, they were talking about, giving glizzies, who gives a glizzy or, where can I get me a glizzy? They were so excited when I was talking about getting glizzies with them. Why were they laughing, and you can pull up the old Google there and type it in glizzy, like a hot dog, read the entries. Hot number 2, blowjob. What? Oh my God. What did I agree to? Oh boy. I got to go meet Justin in a little bit for a glizzy. Oh boy. Well, I'm a man of my word. But I guess that's something for me to figure out. But they got all these words, the kids, they got all these words, and I was thinking, they should have to learn our words. Why are we learning their words? We're the elders. We know all the good words. We've been learning them our whole life. They've been, tested by words should be handed down, not up. You don't go to school and tell the teacher what words the teacher should use. No, the teacher teaches you, and that's what we are, aren't we? The older generation, aren't we like teachers? And shouldn't they want to learn our words? I got some words for these kids. I was thinking, phlebotomist. They should know that word, phlebotomist. Go ahead, look it up. I even have cool words. There was a word that they didn't know. Cunnilingus. That's a cool one. Ask your dad about that. And there's practical words too, like ED. Actually, you know what? Maybe I'll just learn the kids' words. Maybe they don't need to know my words. Maybe I should keep my words to myself. Speaking of the kids, on a more somber note, I was just thinking about what's been going on this week. I had an interesting conversation about these murders going on in Idaho. Have you guys heard of these murders? There was a house where some young women were living, on the campus. I guess these murders took place at the University of Idaho, and they're calling it a mass murder. They define mass murder as 3 or more, and 4 people were murdered during this incident, so it's a mass murder, and they have no suspects. They have no leads and no suspects, and so that's pretty interesting. There's a lot of theories going on. That's what we were talking about. There's a lot of theories going around, like who's the person that did this? And the prevailing theory is that, they were stabbed to death. And when you get stabbed to death, usually it's a crime of passion. So they think that who's they? They is not the authorities. The authorities have no idea what's going on, supposedly. That's what they're telling everybody. That's what everybody's so upset about, that the authorities aren't disclosing enough information. And, the people, they want answers because 4 kids were killed, at school a week before Thanksgiving. And now here it is, almost the new year, and we still have no answers. And I guess this kind of stuff actually happens a lot. But, the theories here, they stabbing, so crime of passion. So people have been like looking into these people that were killed to see if any of them had a stalker or a boyfriend, or I guess there was a boyfriend of one girl, but he's since been talked to and they've ruled him out as a suspect. And I don't know, it's all very, it's interesting because the longer the investigation goes on, it seems like the more wild the theories get. At first they were like, oh, it must be, somebody followed them home from the town, or there was an incident with an angry, young man 2 blocks over the day previous where he brandished a knife. But as they check these things out and they don't pan out into suspects, then they start saying, okay, well, there was this guy who followed this girl, home from the bank, and the girl was friends with a girl who was murdered, or I don't know. I couldn't keep track all the different murder theories they had, but the people want answers. And it's interesting to me how this case has grown to kind of gain national interest. These days they're so interested in real, what is it called, true crime, and they got documentaries on serial killers and everything, and they're looking into cases like this and trying to, I don't know what it is. I wonder what it is that interests people in cases like this. I suppose it's, because it can't be just that this murder happened, because it's in Moscow, Idaho, and people here are talking about it, and we're like 2,000 miles away. I don't know if we're actually 2,000 miles away. That's just my big number I use when I don't know how far away I'm from. New York's probably about 2,000 miles from here, to give you a frame of reference. But, maybe people are worried that the killer is going to go from town to town. But, maybe they're worried that there's going to be a killer in this town. Or I guess what I think is that it probably dates back to when we were more tribal. We were kind of watching each other and trying to see who were the bad seeds in the tribe. We were especially, that's why we're like so attuned to stealing or, backstabbing or talking behind people's back, and we don't like it, because we're kind of like a tribal creature. Now that we're plugged into the internet, it's kind of like Moscow, Idaho is part of our tribe now. I guess it makes sense, because if you're watching it, it's your brain doesn't know how far. Your brain doesn't know if this is happening, in Vallejo or Idaho. It doesn't know if it's happening next door or in the next country. So kind of triggers those same, when you watch a newscast, it must, kind of like wake you up to your little sensors to, oh, there's a bad guy around or a bad guy on the loose. I guess maybe not. I don't know. But that's my theory as to why people are so interested in it. I find it interesting, partly because I've been to Moscow, Idaho in my travels, so it's kind of like I can kind of place myself there, and it's like it's what you would imagine from a northern, not northern like Wisconsin northern, but northern like northwest coast. It's like kind of mountainous and real this time of year, a lot of snow, or a lot of like, it's like cold, so it's kind of that frozen snow, especially these early snows. But college town, I think the population of the whole city is like 25,000, and the population of the university is like 10 or 15,000. So very college oriented town, not a lot there, very small town, a lot of kids. I can imagine that they're kind of like, it kind of probably has a vibe of like that Scream movie, where, it's kind of like they feel like they're in this, what am I trying to say? Like they're in this story, because it's not like when, people die every day in Chicago, because Chicago's so big, it just kind of sweeps everybody up. There's so diverse and so many people, but it's actually probably like a statistically significant portion of the population what's the population of Chicago? It's got to be, oh gosh, what's the population of Los Angeles? I think it's like, what about California? I'm terrible at this. Let's moving on. Wait, I had something else to say about what was it? I was thinking about all the kids. They're getting a lot of grief counseling, which is interesting to me. I don't know. They're offering a lot of grief counseling. But to wrap things up, I wanted to try to talk. I wanted to talk a little bit about what an older person that I work with was talking about. And he was telling me, I'm not sure exactly how much of this he wants me to divulge. So the conversation was kind of philosophical. It became philosophical in nature. But he was talking about how there was something wrong in him. And he didn't realize it until one day he become kind of a shopaholic. And one day he like got something he ordered in the mail, an expensive item, and he opened it and looked at it, and then he sat down and ordered another one. Like, he went to the website and he was looking at something and got to looking around, and he was ordering another, it was a jacket. It was like a really fancy jacket. And so he was collecting these jackets, and he was ordering another really fancy jacket before he'd even worn this jacket. And he said that's when it kind of dawned on him. He was buying these things because he liked the quality. He liked the stitching. He thought they were really well put together. But he realized that he wasn't really well put together. That's kind of what he said. And, I wanted to talk about this because he made a really good point. Or at least it was a good point to me. I found it intriguing and, not motivational, but enlightening, I guess. He was saying that life is about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And too often he was saying he was caught up in looking at the good. And we got to embrace the bad and the ugly too. And so, yeah, that struck me. I don't know. I hadn't thought about embracing the bad and the ugly as well. I hadn't thought about the idea of life being good, bad, and ugly. Is an interesting distinction. So, I don't know. It just made me wonder if I wasn't, denying my capacity for badness and hiding some of my ugliness. So, I don't know. If you got any thoughts about any of this stuff, also I'm looking for recommendations. I think I want to start watching TV shows. And so I'm looking for some good TV shows. I was thinking about doing some soap operas. I was thinking those got to be, what's so interesting about those? So many people watch soap operas. I want to get off I like to get off the beaten path anyways. I heard about some other good shows. I can't remember what the names of them were. One of them was like, I can't even remember at all. But yeah, I was thinking about checking those out. I'm looking for some good shows to watch, good movies. Let me know, or if you have any thoughts. I read all the comments. my first podcast. I don't even know if there will be a comment. Just comment. And or send me an email, dallas.napa@gmail.com. Anyways, this has been my solo podcast. I want to thank you for joining me. 2023, here we go. Brand new year, and looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to doing it with you. All right, let's get after it.